Hey minions, welcome to Crank It Up, and it's time for our annual Festivus tradition. This year, the Airing of Grievances will be a little different. I think overall this is a very good year for Smash Up because of print on demand and errata. So instead of airing grievances, I will do the opposite. Today I'll be talking about my 12 favorite errata. There are a couple of quick caveats. First, these cards are not among the rebalanced factions like Tricksters, and only the cards deemed functional are eligible, not just wording changes. So a card like Scout or Mummy are excluded, but Radioactive Breath is eligible. Second, due to the volume of cards that have changed, I have not played every card in the game that has changed. But I was heavily involved in choosing many of the abilities, and as you'll see, some of them we've campaigned for years. Finally, this list will not include Titans, as most of them have substantial changes, and I haven't gotten in enough games to form my impressions on them. So in making this list, what I valued was how much the card needed any change at all, my excitement over what they got, and its overall impact on the broader faction. Number 12 is Weed Eater. Weed Eater for many years was high on the wishlist for an errata because it made negative sense within the faction context. And this is overall a good change within the faction, but it isn't higher because part of me is still underwhelmed. That being said, we did the best we could in the confines we had. It's just that this is an elite who effectively gets one power, who just so happens to be nerfed for access purposes. Overall, it's still much improved, and that's why it beat out many selections I do like. It's just not an elite that I would start building around. Number 11 is Armor Stego. No longer will this card backfire spectacularly unless you let it. This effectively acts like a May, and there are a number of cards that got similar treatments like Onini and Funbear. But what makes Armor Stego win is that if you can do this, it is going to be much more memorable than the others. Dinosaurs still lack a great game plan for it, but my desire to play this card has gone up substantially because even now I could use it as a body if I really had to. Number 10 is Mr. Grumpers. I've campaigned for this change for years, and we got all aspects of it, optional and lasting until the start of the turn. The need for these are obvious, as Mr. Grumpers would often be net zero power in a burst context, but there is something much more subtle. Every kitten minion is a combo card. They provide little value on their own, and require another card for any form of benefit. This makes them very draw order dependent. Now that has changed. You have a legitimate reason to play Grumpers in non-combo scenarios. You can even depower a minion long enough to have a chance at stealing it as a special. This is a no-brainer, and I'm glad it was able to crack the top 10. Number 9 is Get Down Tonight, which scales the card draw to the usage. In an alternate universe, I swear this is the disco rule, replaying the card effect in its entirety. If it existed from the beginning, you'd start there and build around it. This gets the nod over I'm So Excited because that is much harder to set up with divas. For Get Down Tonight, there were equivalent double features in Kree and a better card in Mulan, but now this is enticing as you can realistically get 6 power and 3 cards, and it feels fun to lean into disco. It makes disco cards stand out among their more powerful cousins, and it's a great change overall. Number 8 is a card I had rarely played previously, When Calls the Badge. This card requires a specific set of circumstances to be effective, usually in a leapfrog scenario on your own turn. Because you need high minion quantity but you have to be losing, it was playable only in Phase 3. What makes this card stand out is that it is cast friendly, rather than being another terminal card when Mounties have 4, and it can be an acceleration card to effectively give them half a turn, even creating some double scores. Number 7 is Fairy Godmother, which went from being one of the worst cards to a very good card. Action draw a card is never good. 2 terminal power is never good. If you got both with Spirit of the Forest, that was Get Down Tonight, which itself got buffed. Now you have 2 double features combined into a single card, which is more than serviceable because of the flexibility. I'd actually like this to become a stock card, because over the years playtesters have had to kick out many +3 power cards. This is actually a meaningful choice now. Number 6 is X Marks the Spot. Of all the balance through badness cards, this is among the most frustrating, being forced to move each of your minions when Whirlwinds literally came out the set before. Explorers are so precise about where they play their minions and when, so artificially limiting this ability for what feels like theme was infuriating, and now it's back to what it should have been all along. Number 5 was shocking to me, and may surprise you, but it's Infiltrate. This card has been changed many times in its history, and ignoring an ability for one player is heavily problematic from a rules perspective. But the real value here is deferring the cancellation. You can still do 99% of what you could do before. But the problem was that if you wanted to cancel a base, it required you to spend 50% of your turn, which for a faction as slow as ninjas was a real problem. The use case goes up substantially here, and while we've seen talent-based cancellation before, this is a double feature, and it does destroy an action optionally, so this will most likely always be good value. Number 4 is Griselda. We've wanted this for years, and we got it, and it solves the heirloom problem. Princesses had no means to set them up stacking in a realistic manner, and recurringly heirloom meant little if you weren't even playing them, but now they are a real threat. You can play one, then double play the next two, only risking 1 power up front for a total gain of 8, perfect for Someday My Prince Will Come to double score or increase the threat. And Griselda is the perfect minion for it because of the changing nature of her talent. Number 3 is Rainbow. Before the age of TDAC, Rainbow was a good card. Then it wasn't. Now it's fixed. You still need internally 7 power to trigger it, possibly 6, but this is very good for double Rainbow. And I think it can create some aggro that makes Teaching Power a more viable target. The going rate for an elite to beat is Minerva, which is stupidly strong at attack draw 2, but Rainbow has a much greater chance of eclipsing that now. If you lead with Rainbow, Togetherness, and Rainbow again, your opponents pretty much have to respond there, and I think that is good for horses because they still each draw 2 cards, meaning the baseline, and if they leave it out for any longer amount of time, you will love that. Number 2 is Glory Hound, the last change I personally requested for years. Oh, how I love this card now. It is pure base sifting, and substantially improves all their cards as a result. I can leave something I like, but take an additional chance later on with the next one. If I like both, I get to keep both. If I hate both, both are gone. And now you have a reason to keep playing Glory Hounds. Because the Crypt Looters play themselves, and Idaho Smith is very time dependent, you need your recruits to be as flexible to play as possible, and we got it. Just a fantastic no-brainer upgrade I'm so happy that we got, making Explorers and Princesses the only factions to get both of their candidates in this list. But as much as I love Glory Hound, and many of the others, few actually changed in form. No, this form change makes so much sense. It was shocking that the original card had the form it had, and that is Celestial Teleport. As a standard action, I rarely played this card. And as a standard action double feature, it was objectively bad even though movement is good, Sonus. There are many double features that are just better. But as a minion modifier, in this context, it's exponentially better. It gives them so many things. A much needed cast-friendly action. Self-propelled movement that fits perfectly into their engine. Breathing room for Lunar Captain. A means of adding another minion on the base when it is time to swarm, while still being able to play coordination. Part of me is shocked that this got in because the form change is so impactful, but that doesn't change my excitement level. It is shocking that Noble Steed, as late as it was the first double feature as its kind. Even in Big in Japan, that would be the 12th expansion, which is an eternity for this type of ability. It is so clean and so natural, it needs to be in the game, and we got a new form of it, and that is why it is my number 1. There were a lot of other cards that I liked that didn't make the cut. What cards were you expecting on the list that aren't Medical Officer? And what are your favorites? Let me know in the comments. I didn't intend for this to be one of the only videos this year. I've written several in my heads, but life needed me in other places this year, for good reasons. Here's to hoping I magically have more time for Smash Up videos in 2026. Merry Christmas, Happy Festivus, and Happy Holidays to everyone. Let's shut it down.